One final night of Octane Series Racing will determine the 2024 champion. 30 races, and this is the 30th and final of which, and now only 167 laps separate the field from the checkered flag. Not only in another race, the Homestead-Miami Speedway, but from a title, which could be won by one of 5 drivers who are eligible today to clinch the championship in a winner-take-all event. Welcome back. Last night, the Ignite Series went to the Homestead-Miami Speedway, and so we have returned once again to Homestead, Florida. Great to return to the Homestead-Miami Speedway. 167 laps or 250 miles are on the table, and the Integrity OCTANE Series is due to crown a champion in the next level racing finale 250, brought to you live exclusively on FTN Broadcasting. Your 5 championship drivers have taken to the track so far in qualifying, and times are being set as we speak. 167 laps originally scheduled on the day. Final adjustment has been made. However, it will be a 134 lap feature, given a little bit of a shift in our participation. However, your big 5 who are fighting for the championship are here today. The most that we've said are equal in level footing for the title all season long. I'm your host, David Kreutz. Qualifying has just gotten started, and I'll be producing and commentating all of tonight's action from the start to the finish of tonight's event. So as we take a look downstairs and see what's going on track, currently your provisional pole is set by Nick Tarbuck with a 32.578. Michael Araya sits in second. Nicholas Ward is then in third. Taking a look now at Tom Wetmore, one of the final championship contenders to get on the circuit. Michael Araya going to be on the way, as is Nick. So far, it looks like Jacob Fife is going to be sitting in the 4th position, not yet up there with the leaders inside the qualifying column, but that could change, of course. Right now, Tom Wetmore looking to make a change for his campaign, trying to get up inside of the podium, maybe perhaps a little bit higher. Top spotting practice. He was the quickest driver. Maybe a chance for him to do so once again. Coming across the line, number 51, going to put that first lap down. He's going to be currently in the 12th position. That was a 32.8 second lap. Tom has a lot more to improve on if he wants to get himself up to the front of the field tonight, not only in qualifying, but the race pace. A few of these drivers, including Wetmore, took some practice laps last night in the Ignite Series finale, which went for as well 134 laps. So Tom, no stranger to how this track will drive, is due to experience it in real time here. Checkered flag is going to fly on his run. That was a 32.8 flat again. Looks like Tom Wetmore right now, no improvement just yet. We'll see what he can do. Final seconds counting down. Chuck Sweeting and Eli Cars have decided not to go on the circuit, leaving Tom Wetmore as the only driver to still be taking a chance. Currently up in a P6, as a matter of fact. Tom going through turns 3 and 4 once again. His warm-up lap quick. Lap 1 getting him in a moderate position. And now as he goes across the line once again, Wetmore in the 51, take it from a 32.8. What looks to be minimal improvement. Can't quite get it above that cut. So P6 is where Tom Wetmore will lie, and the Tube Tech Chevrolet is going to find itself just outside the top 5 in qualifying tonight. One thing's for certain, the practice paid off for that number 4 team, and the driver we saw last night in the Integrity OCTANE Series, well, he's been red hot on Monday nights. He's hoping to bring that momentum here today. Checkered flag is out in qualifying. The number 4 of Nick Tarbuck will score the pole position. He started in 15th last night, finished in the 3rd spot. Up 12 on the day. And now he'll be starting up in front, taking the race lead here in Homestead. 5 final minutes of warm-up practice. Time for drivers to get ready again, and you'll see them down on pit road. There's Sam Nieto. There also is the number 4, and looks like a little bit further back, John Steele, the number 22. Chevy Monte Carlo for the number 22 team, the 12th and final driver to set a time of the 14 who have registered for tonight's main feature. Right now, with drivers getting themselves going once again, they'll get accustomed to what's going to be a very similar night track condition-wise to what we saw from Homestead yesterday. And when we say that, It's going to be a day-to-night race. Sunset is evident already, and slowly but surely you'll see this daytime sky transition, and we'll see the night come alive yet again. But before we get to that point, we of course have our qualifying grid to look over, so let's do exactly that. Final starting grid of the year, and it looks like the number 4 going to swing back in a big way. Championship contender last night, couldn't get the job done, came away second in points, but it'll be the number 4 of Nick Tarbuck inside of row number 1. It's the number 14 with the pole position, a 32.579 pole position, and Michael Araya is right alongside him, 10th of a second back from Michael, and 2 members of the original Big 3 make up the final 5, and you can see Michael going to be there in second. He's got the advantage on the outside of that front row, and he's going to be leading 4 other drivers, or rather 3 himself, on the outside group. Nicholas Ward is the first of the championship spoilers in qualifying tonight. 32.675 is just the mark he misses. It's a 7.65 for Nicholas Ward. And then you'll have 4th place, the number 36 of Jacob Fife. And Fife not getting bounced out, a huge deal for him in that penultimate event. Now Jacob getting a chance to fight for the championship. He'll start P4, and then you'll have the number 2. That is Sam Nieto. 6th place, Tom Wetmore. Then you've got Cody Smith in 7th, Ross Cato in 8th. Interesting to note, those drivers marked in octane blue, championship contenders, and besides Nick in the number 4, they're all lined up on the outside. We'll see how well they set up with the championship spoilers of Nieto, Smith, and Nicholas Ward. Smith particularly been a red-hot runner as of late with a podium last week in Phoenix. Kyle Cooper starting in 9th, and Galen Gidman them going to be in position number 10, and 11th place and 12th, the final 2 drivers to set times. 33.444 Sean Kalis, John Steele going to be in 12th, the number 22, 33.657 for him. Chuck Sweeting, who raced last night, and Eli Cars in the number 82 make up the final spots in your starting grid. 200 miles. That's what's on the table today. 134 final laps, and the journey ends where it started, in Florida. That's your starting grid for the Next Level Racing finale here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Eden in chat from last night watching Nick now go for his 2nd straight championship run. Nancy Wetmore also stopping by, and some familiar faces as both Nick and Tom ran last night. Now one Nick at the top of the board in this practice session is Nicholas Ward. He finds himself in the 4th spot here, and Ward is a driver who I think still has to be, he is on the verge of a victory. And we thought that maybe the number 97 team would have a chance to go out there this season. He still does. 3rd place right now when it comes to the starting grid is a wonderful spot to be in for a driver who doesn't have to worry about championship obligations. He won't be worried by getting around a certain type of driver, having to worry about being relaxed or more conservative. This is it, going all the way for those final 200 miles is the goal for the 97 team, and Nicholas Ward has been chasing victory for about as long as Tom Wetmore has. Wetmore with a Troughton victory that I'm sure he would like to finish off at last. It's been more than a year since his last checkered flag, coming at the Bristol Motor Speedway in 2023. It's been a long time coming, but we're expecting that Tom Wetmore is going to have a good run in mind. 6th place to start, so he'll be a little bit further back than he'd like, but he's got some firm company around him to, of course, work with. Nick Tarbuck and Michael Araya have to be the championship favorites coming in, with Nick having 4 victories and Michael Araya having 9 coming into this night. Well, they've combined for 13 wins, nearly half of the victories all throughout the season, and if Michael or Nick are to win the championship tonight and win the race, then they'll tie Ethan Lane's 14 wins on the season. Nick, another good run in this final practice session of the year. He's going to find himself with the quick time once again, only to be usurped late. Tom Wetmore gets there in final practice. Looks like maybe a little bit of help riding the wall, but nevertheless, Wetmore quickest in practice number 2. Now it's time to move on. Barney the Flagman waving the checkered, up 32.737, quickest lap time set in practice 2. So 134 laps remain, and we have seen many intermediate races this season. Homestead-Miami Speedway, it's a little bit different. entire field has just about put themselves together on the starting grid. Let's talk a little bit more about this circuit. The Homestead-Miami Speedway is the well-known, well-acclaimed former home of the NASCAR Cup Series Championship. For many fans and many drivers in the Ignite and Octane Series respectively, they may remember a time when the real-world Gen 4s came to this circuit in its first ever years as a progressive banking track in the mid-2000s. Drivers such as Jimmy Johnson and Tony Stewart won championships at this venue, and the first ever chase for the Nextel Cup was held here in 2004. The mile-and-a-half track in Homestead, Florida provides drivers with a different type of challenge with what we already mentioned, progressive banking, meaning the bottom groove is useful, the middle groove can help you out too, and the high side has that special advantage of the grip strip, where you can really pull a load of momentum if you're feeling a little bit riskier than most. There's a chance to make everything work tonight from start to finish. Pit road's empty, and now with us, the drivers go through turns 1 and 2. Track conditions for tonight, it's going to be overall track temperature of 86 degrees Fahrenheit, ambient temperature of 82 degrees. Winds are eastbound at 10 miles an hour. So, very mild conditions as there were last night. Shouldn't be much a worry for the field. I think by this point, they're well accustomed to dealing with the temperatures, dealing with the troubles, the heat, and all that it comes with. And they've overcome adversity, especially those final 5 drivers to come to this point. From Daytona in February to last week in Phoenix, it has been a long, hard journey with very few breaks in between for 30 races. 30 weeks and another season of Octane Racing in the books. And to finish writing that chapter, we must at last finish off and crown a champion. Nick Tarbuck and Michael Araya find themselves positions 1 and 2. Barney the Flagman waves the green. We're underway once again, and for the final time this year, we're going Octane Series Racing. Tonight, we crown a champion. Side by side of the opening lap, Michael Araya with the minor advantage. He'll take him in the lap number 3. Welcome back live on FTN. This is something to behold. The best drivers, best driving, and the Gen 4s back in the Homestead-Miami Speedway, a track where, if you think about the Gen 4 era and how long it technically lasted, Homestead's history dates back to the very beginning of this era of car. Now, we talk about the Gen 4s you see on your screen today. They're modeled closest after the 2009 NASCAR Nationwide Series, in which the Homestead-Miami Speedway was, of course, on the schedule. While Brad Keselowski drove the model that is shown on your screen today, Denny Hamlin was the man that got the job done in the 2009 Ford 400. That was in the Cup Series, and that's by the point they went to the car of tomorrow. However, if you think about the Ford 300, just the day before, it was Kyle Busch who won the championship on that day, November 21st of 2009. The Nationwide Series, as it was called, it's currently Xfinity Series, used these car of tomorrow bodies, or rather the Gen 4 bodies, until the early 2010s, and they're back on display today. A wonderful sort of car that I think many fans cherish in a way we haven't seen ever since. Talking about that day in 2009, Kyle Busch won the race in the championship, and what a top 10 it was. Of all the drivers in the top 10 on that day, every one of which competed in the NASCAR Cup Series full-time besides Steve Wallace, who finished in 8th. The Xfinity Series was a different animal back then, and I think we can talk about the Octane Series and Ignite Series in the same capacity. Drivers who run and compete for the championship in both series, and maybe no stronger example of that than the man who's right now running in second place. That's Nick Tarbuck in the number 4. Last night he was in the 29 and finished second in the Ignite Series championship, and tonight, as he's racing in our second event of the week. He's currently running second in points right now as he runs in second place. He has a chance to clinch this championship even if he didn't win last night, and he'll still come away with a championship prize from Next Level Racing. And that's one of the big similarities of a two-series league. You have the chance to go out there on one day, maybe not do the best or just come away short of the big prize, and then you got this next series. And if you dedicate yourself on Mondays and Tuesdays, as a few drivers have, you have a chance to go all the way and fight for the title. Even if you might not get it done that first time, there's a second chance tonight for Nick on the line, and for Jacob Fife too, who competed in both series. Although he did not make his way into the Ignite Series finale, he's also been eligible for the majority of the season for both titles. Jacob right now is going to be running in fifth. We'll take a look back down to that number 36 team, as we also have the video feed from Jacob Fife as well. League owner and operator since 2012, Jacob Fife is one of the drivers that has defined this league ever since the very beginning. There's race wins. If you look back in the records and on YouTube as well, one of the very first races in Integrity Racing League history, Jacob Fife got the job done in the summer of 2012 at the USA International Speedway. He's been here since the beginning, and he has continued to remain as one of the top drivers in this field ever since the jump. And that's something, one of those advantages when it comes to time and experience that cannot be taken away. One driver that's just ahead of him though right now is the number 51 of Tom Wetmore. Wetmore and the 51 team trying to make some gains. Not a dismal qualifying run. It looks like unfortunately his video will be off for the night, and Ross Cato meanwhile the number 12 for Fast Forward Esports. Looks like he's going to be giving us a good look in that number 12 team. He is in 8th place currently. Sam Nieto 7th. Galen Gidman is in 9th. Ross Cato, the Miracle Man from 2023, is looking to replicate that miraculous feat of not only getting into the final round, but also ending up as a championship contender toward the final 50 laps. And so, as a result, Ross Cato right now finds himself going at it once again, although he's in 8th. Meanwhile, the battle for the championship lead is still side by side. Nick and Michael. Lariah's up top, Tarbuck's down low, and currently the number 4 has a minor advantage. Negligible, but it is in his favor. The number 4 is going to lunge out to the race lead, and up on top, 11 laps in out of 134. Nick is up on top by 2.2 tenths of a second. Not a big gap right now, but you can see it slowly but surely grow, and the favor early could determine the rest of the day. That's something we saw last night as well. If we're talking about learning lessons, if you think about what happened last night in the championship race, well, a late race pass for the title, it technically speaking happened, but how it happened was quite unexpected. Thomas Bressi dominated, led over 100 laps on the day, and put himself in a position to clinch the championship with less than 15 laps to go. And then what happened from there? He disconnected. It looked like a download packet failure, which in essence is disconnection from the session. And even though he had internet, according to his own account, iRacing for some reason unregistered him from the race as it went on. And so he lost the championship by virtue in large part of a connection failure, the likes of which we have never seen before, and it cost him the title. Braxton Weiss ended up winning the championship as a result. He was in the right place at the right time, and Nick Tarbuck was able to come away with second in points by virtue of that unbelievable circumstance. Nick made significant gains last night and did a wonderful job taking himself from the back of the field up. Now we talk about the day he had, made it up to the podium from just inside the top 10. It was Justin Morton, the man who got up to 15th place to 3rd. It was Nick Tarbuck who went from 10th up to 2nd. He came just 2.1 seconds away from the championship. Very close to getting it all done. And honestly, I think if Thomas Bressi's disconnection incident was a little bit earlier, we would have seen a different race out of the number 4 team. Perhaps he would have been a little bit more aggressive in that opening stint to make up time and cut that distance. That's not the way he decided to approach it. Instead, he lied back early and pushed later, but by that point it was a little too late, and so that first championship didn't come to fruition. But of course for Nick, a lot of his success has come in the Octane Series, and I'd say the same for Michael Araya. Although, for those of you who've been watching all year long, I'm sure it's interesting to see that Ethan Lane is not out here looking to give it his best shot for a championship. There is a reason in mind, however. He has been selected as one of the best oval drivers on the market to go out to the NASCAR Contender Series, which currently is the top level of oval sim racing that is racing in the winter of 2024. If he is to come away as a top 20 driver in that series, he'll be heading to the National Series, the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, the top level of oval sim racing, point blank. Right now he finds himself in the second stage of a rigorous qualifying schedule, and the 14-time winner this season will not be able to win the championship. But he's got a lot planned for his sim racing career as he continues on, so maybe we'll see more of Ethan Lane at the top level above all else. Michael Araya right now going to fade back a little bit further, finding himself in P3. Tom Wetmore's in 4th, and Jacob Fife is in 5th. Cody Smith is going to be the 6th spot right now, a little bit further back, not really seeing any packs, so to speak, so far. Instead, drivers are going to get themselves funneled into a single file line, maybe a few bubbles in the further back pack, including Galen Gidman, Chuck Sweeting, and Sam Nieto, all of those who are deciding to put themselves in a spot to get things going from the back end of the field, staying calm and collected, not really interfering themselves with what's going on ahead. Jacob Fife might be coming up right now on Tom Wetmore, and we'll see what happens here for the 36 has a chance to make a move. Wetmore currently runs in 4th, Laraya is 3rd, Nick Tarbuck currently has the race lead, position number 1. And so now for Jacob Fife, even though he's running in 5th place, he's running dead last of all those in the championship mix-up. In the top 5 anyway. There's only one exception in Ross Cato. Ross is going to find himself in the 7th spot. Then you got Jacob Fife in 5th, Tom Wetmore 4th, Michael Araya P3, and Nicholas Ward. He's the big championship spoiler right now, and we mentioned the incentive for Ward to go out there and try and win. It's easier said than done, and it's hard to put a victory out on anything more than paper without a plan. Right now for Ward, it looks like he is slightly quicker than Nick Tarbuck, but that isn't necessarily the case when it comes to the long term. Those laps you see where there are differences in the thousands, it doesn't mean all too much. And once again, Nick Tarbuck is going to turn the tide. He's quicker than Ward on that lap, and it looks like overall he's leaving the field in the dust, at least for now. Showing up with your best stuff when it matters most. The number 14 going to get away to that early jump, and this could be a do-or-die moment for the championship here, getting the advantage, which I think right now these drivers understand. This is it. It doesn't matter how well you've done to the previous races. If you're in the top 5, the points are reset. Winner takes all. And that's why for someone like Michael Araya right now, he needs to desperately make up that time and get that track position. Last night, we did not see a caution throughout the entire 134-lap feature. And so, if we go down the same route tonight, well, you're not going to see any breaks in the action. And that's why Tom Wetmore already going to put his hand on the number 44 and see exactly what's going on. Take a look now as the number 51 tries to get inside the podium, and Michael Araya goes topside. Laraya going to make up a critical second place spot, and he jumps up to a little bit higher in the podium, and Tom Wetmore goes the way to the bottom groove to get right past the driver of the 97. Nicholas Ward is going to make his way through, but in an opposite direction. He goes down to P4. Jacob Fife just behind, Cody Smith 3.5 tenths back, and they run single file again. Galen Gidman also going to be working here with Sam Nieto. Both drivers, Nieto, Galen Gidman alike, they're going to find themselves connected, although their teammate Michael Araya runs much higher up the ladder. Overall for Sam Nieto, perhaps not the season he was looking for. He was just on the cusp of making his way inside the final 5, just missing it by only a hair. The point situation came down to the wire between he and Jacob Fife, And since Ethan Lane has relinquished his championship opportunity, Jacob Pfeiffer made it in. Sam Nieto, with a mistake in the final 15 laps in Phoenix, had to bow out. And that's what it comes down to, those points, margins of error of only a position or two. And unfortunately for Sam Nieto, he got himself involved with Ross Cato, tailing out and nearly spinning, the both of which did. Nevertheless, Sam Nieto came away empty-handed, and Ross Cato just barely came through. And that's why right now you see that number 12 labeled in blue rather than the number 2. Nicholas Ward, the 97, coming up again on Jacob Pfeiffer, getting right up to his back bumper, although I think that's just in desperation trying to take a spot back. Ward is fading back now from as high as 5th down to 5th place again. Nicholas Ward looks like he's in the wrong trajectory, perhaps heading in reverse. Hopefully that's something he can reverse in due time, but right now it definitely does not look like it's going his way. Cody Smith might be next up to pass him. That's going to mean that your top 4 drivers, 1, 2, 3, 4, including Jacob Pfeiffer, are all title contenders. Michael Araya right now is 0.8 of a second back, and it looks like he might be gaining ever so slightly, although we can't quite tell. Nick Tarbuck with an advantage enough right now where he doesn't have to worry about any big gains in this first stint. "25 laps in at 134. So if you were with us last night, and we'll give a refresher regardless, 134 laps and 200 miles usually gets split into 3 stints and 2 pit stops, which means at about 15-20 laps time at the very most, the driver of the number 4, well, he's going to have to come down to pit road very soon. We're more than halfway into this stint, and as a result, 45-50 should be the benchmark for when drivers go through. For Nick Tarbuck, he'll go in, get 4 tires, of course, some fuel, and then go back on his way. Stints are going to go in the range of 45 to 50 laps all night long. Second pit window is going to be lap number 90 to lap 100. And that will be the end of it. Lap 90, lap 100, drivers come in for the second time, and they will end their race on that stint. So right now, drivers are settling themselves in, and the goal is going to be the last for that first pit stop. 51 of Tom Wetmore, 44 of Michael Araya, both getting to ring around each other once again, but a closer panel further back as Nicholas Ward is fading behind, and number 18 of Cody Smith has just barely gotten through. Nicholas Ward still trailing back. That's showing the impact and the influence of that older rubber compared to having it new. Fastest lap that Ward's run on the circuit tonight is a 32.918. Matter of fact, that is the fastest lap run in this session during race conditions. However, for Ward, it looks like having that speed has sort of blown him back once again. Nicholas now finds himself in P6, and I think he was burning his stuff up to keep gaining, and he's already falling in that opposite trajectory here. Last lap for him was a 34.874, which, ironically enough, was one of the slowest laps inside of the top 10. Only slower was Galen Gidman and Sam Nieto, respectively. 35-second lap that time through for Nicholas Ward, and it's clear now he's significantly slower than where he needs to be and much slower than his former contemporaries up in front. Now, Tom Wetmore and Michael Araya alike are going to be coming further up the field. They're going to find themselves positions 2 and 3 respectively. Now, we'll see what Tom Wetmore can do, maybe to gain to get alongside the number 44, although I highly doubt that's going to happen immediately. I think Tom Wetmore here has enough pace to really give him a good chance of a battle. Michael Araya is going to drag him around the circuit, putting that toe in play, with the clean air still all there for the number 4. Nick Tarbuck with the advantage of the open air and the open track. That's the big thing right now. I think it's going to remain a major key to finding success. Nicholas Ward just got passed there by the number 12 of Ross Cato. Ross just made his way through, and as such, it's going to leave Chuck Sweeting with a chance to go wide open and take another pass himself. Chuck having some struggles last night, not able to win in the Octane Series this year, Chuck Sweeting was. However, the number 75 has been able to put himself in for a solid Ignite Series campaign, collecting 1 race win overall, but bowing out early in the round of 15. His playoff shot really didn't go all too far. Nevertheless, Chuck knows what it takes in two capacities. First of which, of course, is getting race wins, but also coming away with consistent points nights when it matters. Now, for the Octane Series, Chuck Sweeting not able to put in an effort, of course, to get up into the playoffs on pace. Without a race win, locking yourself into the playoffs is next to impossible. And as we saw throughout the season, winning was next to impossible in the Octane Series as well. Matter of fact, of all your drivers who are currently competing for a race win, of course, Nick Tarbuck has himself the checkered flag. He's seen it multiple times this season. Michael Araya, more of the same. But we mentioned that some of our critical contenders further back, such as Tom Wetmore, have not yet seen the checkered flag. Wetmore, Cato, and Jacob Fife have not seen the victory lane once this season. However, of the drivers who are inside of your Big Two, of course, formerly Big Three, they've won a total together of 13 races. Your championship contenders overall have won 13 races together. Ethan Lane, of course, being that massive exception, of which the driver who won 14 races on his own. And if we were to see Ethan Lane with us tonight as a championship contender, then the final 5 drivers would have won 27 races between them of 30 races in campaign. Michael Araya, Ross Cato, Jacob Fife, Nick Tarbuck, Sam Nieto, Don Stevenson, Nicholas Ward, Cody Smith, Kyle Cooper, and to this point onward, Bobby Ross, David Gidman, Brian McFerrin, Randy Fiash, Alan Rawell. That's a long list. Why are we reading it out? Well, up to this point in the season, every one of those drivers had 29 races counted on their campaign. But compared to the amount of races they started, only one driver, or rather 2 drivers, shall we say, have put in 29 races overall. We count 29 races for these drivers because of provisionals and the like. Drivers are given points. However, for Nick Tarbuck, he did not make all 29 races. Tom Wetmore did not make all 29 races to this point. Neither did Jacob Fife, or someone like Chuck Sweeting, or Nicholas Ward further on back. 2 drivers did, one of which is championship contending, one of which is not. Michael Araya has made every race so far this season in the number 44. He's gone for 4,009 laps to this point, the most of anyone in the field, and he has been driving mile after mile since the very beginning of this campaign, and it looks like he's the only driver who's in the final 5 who has a chance to go out there and collect perfect attendance. Multiple drivers were able to cash in that perfect attendance check last night, including Braxton DeWeese. However, it looks like Michael Araya is the only contender in the final 5 who can say he's been here since the beginning and has not missed a minute of it. So shocking to see Michael Araya. Not only does he have himself some more time on the track than his competitors, he's also ran more laps than anyone in the Ignite Series. That might come down to some variations in the schedule, perhaps some more short tracks, or maybe he simply was better at maintaining himself with that durable number 44. Reminder, Michael Araya's consistency has not yet been outdone throughout the season. When we talk about his season overall, he's gotten through with 28 top 10s. Of a 29 race season to this point. Another top 10 for him today would make it 29, which means he's only missed 1 top 10 the entire season, and it would be his 25th top 5. 25 top 5s out of 30. That's an 83% top 5 rate in what has been a very competitive season. Michael Araya has proven to be Mr. Top 5 and Mr. Top 10. Right now, he's going to be 7.5 tenths back on Nick Tarbuck. Nick still holds the advantage, and it looks like all those previous stats are being thrown out the window because the focus is on today and what remains. Less than 100 laps in the season. That's what it comes down to. And so far, the number 4 still holds the edge. Nick right now, 34.995. That was his last lap, so just under the cusp of a 35-second time. It looks like still semi-competitive laps, although you have to account for what's going on with such older tire on the racing circuit. Nobody right now has decided to bow out mid for new rubber. But as we say that, the first driver does enter. Nicholas Ward to pit road. The 97 team decides to do something different and head to pit road before anyone else. Let's see what happens now as Nick decides to drop in 40 laps through Nieto, and then of course you got Galen Gidman side by side now with Sam Nieto. Looks like this battle still keeps on going. When the drivers in the back of the field decide to go in first, they've got a chance to now. It looks like John Steele's low, as is Sam Nieto, none of which will go down. It looks like so far only one driver, Nicholas Ward, heads to pit road. Galen Gidman gets in the wall, and he's going to lose significant time now. Looks like it's going to be Galen now in ninth, letting Sam Nieto go by for P8, and John Steele on the way one lap down. A lapper and the driver of that number 22, John Steele, he's got himself in a real good position, of course, to hang tough and maybe get a lap or so back. He's battling with Sean Kalist for position here, positions 12 and 13. That's a battle at the back of the field. Right now, with new rubber, Sean should be able to make up a few more spots, although he finds himself in a very lonely area here. The track is rather open between Sam Nieto and Chuck Sweeting, about 2.5 seconds between the both of which. Tom Wetmore, 0.6 of a second back right now on Michael Araya. Then you got Nick Tarbuck up and away here, 42 laps in. One driver has decided to go in and give the signal of dropping into pit road. Nobody else from top to bottom has decided to do so. And so with nobody conceding just yet, it's a waiting game. Will the number 4 set the tone? Will someone else decide to go down and in, take that undercut? That's the risky strategy call that came into play last night with Braxton Deweese, the number 13 team. I would say he did a much better job, of course, of predicting that Thomas Bressie would be closer based on an undercut, and he was correct. As a result, the driver of the number 4, well, he was out of the picture, but for the 13 of Braxton Deweese, he got within a second, and by the time of the disconnection, he was only a second and a half away. Anything can happen within a second and a half's time between lap after lap, and in an oval circuit, a second and a half really is nothing. So I would strongly suggest for all drivers here, if they're going to heed any warning, they have to stay within a lap or two of your race leader. Even if, of course, they decide to go in earlier, they got to understand if it's absolutely necessary for them to do so. We're coming up on lap number 46, which seems to be the magic number for the stints. If you divide, of course, 134 3 times over, 46, 47, that's the number you're going to be looking for to finish off the night and not be concerned about any additional strategy quarrels. And so, Cody Smith will opt in. Cody's decided to go after 45 laps in the number 18 Monte Carlo, and as he comes through a little bit earlier, he doesn't have a championship on the line, so perhaps that's going to cause the undercut to help him out and gain the race lead at least temporarily. Galen Gidman decides to go with as well, 45 laps in out of 134, and so that number 9 decides to opt in, and so he's got himself the pit road, 10th place right now for the number 9, and Nick Tarbuck going to be on the way. Here he goes inside a pit road and making it in calmly. Ross Cato not going to concede yet, sees Jacob Fife go down and in. The number 36 brings Chuck Sweeting 75 as well. And now pit road going to see its race leader come through. We'll see how much longer Michael Laraya lasts. It looks like the number 4 goes for the undercut and the 44 is left out to dry. Michael O'Ryan deciding to head down low. He's going to take Tom Wetmore with them. And missed all the chaos here when it comes down to going to pit road. Oh, Tom Wetmore! Talk about chaos. He slid in big. Not quite sure if he's going to hand a penalty to the number 51 team for that one. Nevertheless, Tom Wetmore going to risk it, and we'll see exactly what happens here as he's going to come down to his pit stall rather quickly. Tom Wetmore is in. Michael Araya is as well. Talk about a tricky position. Wetmore slides and nearly hits Michael Araya. Hopefully, for his sake, that is not going to give him a penalty. Sam Nieto to pit road as well, and as such, Nicholas Ward looks like he will take the overall race lead. 47 laps in, making it lap number 48. Now, it's going to be Nicholas Ward getting up on top of the charts. Tom Wetmore going to be with them, and it's side-by-side Michael Araya and Tom Wetmore. They're still battling here, and talk about a fierce fight, even side-by-side through pit exit. But it looks like Michael Araya, alas, will remain the winner. Not a fight you want to have that gets vicious, of course, so early. Incredible driving so far from both parties, of course, to remain clean, but now we'll see what's up next. Nick Tarbuck is going to get away, and now he is the net championship leader once again. Michael Araya is going to be about 2 seconds back on a 1-lap younger set of tire. That's the difference that we saw between Braxton Luis and Thomas Bressi last night. We never did find out whether or not that would be a difference enough to, of course, make the move for the championship win. Now, Cody Smith has a little bit of distance himself. He's got a buffer compared to guys like Jacob Fife or Chuck Sweeting. Maybe now Cody Smith has a chance to contend for the championship and keep himself in the podium while the night progresses. 13 drivers took to the start-finish line tonight. 14 registered. Eli Cars did not start in the number 9. Unfortunately, that means only a baker's dozen of which took to the field. But so far, all of which have run very solid races. And in the first 50 laps, we have seen a wonderful night of action only just begin. We're coming now to our second stint, beginning 2 laps in for some drivers, up to 9 for others. Nicholas Ward has about 35 more laps in him when it comes to his stints. So we'll see what happens for Nicholas Ward. It looks like, again, an alternate strategy for him, but he found himself pushing hard on the first stint, and that's where the disadvantage comes into play. If you find yourself in a tricky spot on the negatives in stint number 1, it's very hard to counteract that and counterbalance that without a radical change. And that's why for Nicholas Ward, the undercut does indeed make more sense. And I was about to say did there, but I'll hesitate on using the past tense right now. The reason is Nicholas Ward might have a chance to bank on a caution later. The most likely time for a green flag run to end is when green flag pit stops happen. If you've been with us here since 2023, and especially this year where we've had so few cautions, I don't think there's a reason to differ on that opinion. If you wait until pit road gets crazy and you go in first, you can practically guarantee yourself a free pit stop on the way out and have a very good chance at holding on to track position when everyone goes to pit road regardless. So for Nicholas Ward, I think right now his strategy makes sense if he's banking on a major error, banking on something crazy to happen, and I'm not the one to say that's not going to happen, but right now he's going to fall back slowly but surely. Tom Wetmore and Cody Smith alike going to make some passes. And as a result, the driver, the number 51, now going to chance himself for a second pass. Third place for Tom Wetmore. Second place for Michael Araya. Your number 14, that's going to be Nick Tarbuck, still is up and ahead. And right now, Nick is doing a wonderful job just getting away. And he's finding himself now leader by 7/10 of a second. Running out to a lead, you'll see the number 4 team. Looks like their driver blocking the car for a brief moment. Nick is the man at the bottom right of your screen right now. You might have seen him last night. Second in the championship for the Ignite Series, and why not try for a second time? Nick completing more than 55 races this season under the Integrity Racing League banner. That is the most of any driver. Matter of fact, let's talk about the specific numbers here. The Integrity OCTANE Series, he's one of the drivers who has himself 29 counted races. But when it comes down to the races, he was able to take the green flag in. Of course, completing at least 1 lap, Nick was able to come to the start-finish line for a total of 26 events. So, 26 races in the Octane Series and 29 counted races, including last-place provisionals. Tarbuck was remarkably consistent and found himself top 10 in attendance on Tuesday nights. Monday nights, though, a little bit of a different story. However, we talk about that number 29 team, 29 on Mondays, the 4 on Tuesdays. He was able to make it for a total of 27 starts. So overall, 27 races on Mondays and 26, of course, on Tuesdays. 53 events, just under the cusp of making it for that 55, and of course the total of 60. Nevertheless, of all drivers in this field, he's been one of the most dedicated to his craft and showing up on both weeks. Now, he's got himself a championship lead to show for. But I think right now, Michael Araya has the advantage. 1 lap is the difference, and it looks like it's proven to be a big one. Michael now going to be within 1/10 of a second, gaining each and every lap on Michael Araya's competitors. Tom Wetmore and Nick Tarbuck alike, they've both seen it. Wetmore was passed, Nick might be up next, and we might have ourselves a side-by-side battle for the lead here as we'll put away the FTN battle cam and focus more so on what's yet to come. Michael Araya, the number 44, is coming up quick, and it might just be a new race leader when it's all said and done in stint number 2. Braxton Deweese decided to go for this strategy, but I don't think he was close enough to really make it work. Michael was within about 0.8 of a second before coming down a pit road, and so he was within a second to get the jump on the strategy call in this stint. Maybe 2 seconds for Braxton before. He was only able to cut about a second before Thomas Bressy's connection failure. Michael arrives in a better spot right now to do something that has only been done once, and it took everything in Braxton Deweese's power to win that championship. Michael right now beginning to use those strategy calls and taking the power into his own hands. 200 miles on the table, getting closer to the end of your first half here, and Michael Araya going to continue battling for the race lead. Take a look on board. It is almost inevitable now that the number 44 team takes the race lead. Whether or not it's going to happen this lap or the next, though, I think that's the bigger question when we really think about it. Nick Tarbuck right now holds the advantage. Michael Araya hangs it up top again. And now Michael's deciding to use the high groove to maybe make up some time and get some speed out of the corners. Once again, progressive banking here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway means that using the high side is going to help out with building runs down the front straightaway. And for the first time since the race is beginning, Michael Araya is leading once again. Taking a look up top, the Chevy Monte Carlo is going to have itself a chance to rip on the high side and clear Nick, and that he does. 1 lap is the difference. Michael Araya with a lap tire advantage is your new race leader. And for the first time all night long, Nick Tarbuck's going to find himself in the second spot. Well, now what's he going to do about that? 10.5 off the race lead, and it's interesting now to see how he'll adapt without the clean air in his favor. Tom Wetmore additionally is going to wait in the wings here, 0.8 of a second back on Nick Tarbuck and 1 second back on race leader Michael Araya. If anything else, I think right now that number 51 team just has to wait and see what's going to happen. Trying to lie back and wait for a yellow flag, of course, nothing is ever guaranteed, but if there is to be an incident, it's best to be in that third place spot. Hoping that first and second are those that get involved and injured in the battle. No fast repairs once again. If there's an incident, you will pay for it, and there's no way to get out of the trouble. I think right now that's something that Tom Wetmore really does have to think about here. Don't want to get yourself involved, but at the same time, being aggressive, it can hurt sometimes. That is a certainty, but to say it's a problem isn't necessarily the case. So I think right now, Nick Tarbuck and Michael Araya have no reason to be concerned with what's going on behind them, especially for someone like Tom Wetmore. Wetmore, while closer than anyone else, really doesn't seem to be a threat. Meanwhile, Nicholas Ward goes side by side right now with a 75, and it looks like Chuck Sweeting has the advantage in this fight. Chuck is going to find himself taking it down low, and with younger tire by 6 laps, he does indeed have the race lead. At least the race lead for 6th place anyway, a battle that he's been fighting ever since the beginning. To even get up here, Chuck has had to battle. Starting 13th and last on the day, he's now up to P6, and Chuck Sweeting may be going for that last first challenge. He'll need some help for the next coming positions, but a commendable effort to get up this far to 6th place under green in 63 laps. Talk about an impressive run so far for Chuck Sweeting. He's only just getting started, of course. I think that's what we're going to see all race long out of Sweeting. One final good run. He's a battler. He's one who's well known for making attrition work out in his favor. I think that's going to be something that comes in play again. Meanwhile, these top two are glued to one another. Michael Araya and Nick Tarbuck, talk about locked tight and lockstep. Looks like Nick, while losing the race lead, has not yet lost pace, and this is where you start to see maybe Michael Araya actually burnt out his stuff and finds himself dead even once again with the number 4, which is not a good thing to face, but when you have the clean air, it's infinitely easier to manage and evaluate the situation ahead of you, because the track is what you have ahead of you. You don't have another driver blocking you back and forth. Instead, you have yourself very little to worry about with respect to really managing the track. Up, down, the grooves are yours. You just have to figure out how can you continue to develop your line and how can you continue to defend. Tom Wetmore going to be in third, Jacob Fife is going to be fourth, and Cody Smith is in fifth. Now you'll see differences in lane. It's going to be incredibly significant. The driver of the number 18 has decided to go to the bottom. Jacob Fife has decided to take it way up top. And we'll see right now where Jacob decides to go. He'll decide to go for the lower route this time through. Little else is going to come up for Jacob Fife through turns 3 and 4, but take a look at what happens right now as drivers maybe are going to take it to the higher side through turns 1 and 2. Jacob Fife, one of which. He's going to decide to be a little bit more conservative, but as he takes it up through the middle of his apex, he goes almost up to the grip strip. You see that dark layer of rubber? If you're able to balance yourself out just right in the high side of the circuit, you can get a significant boost in momentum without having to worry about hitting the wall. It's almost like a force field, a very small one that protects you from significant damage hitting the outside barrier. We oftentimes say that Darlington has its world-renowned stripe. Well, Homestead, yeah, you can see it there through the entry of 1. The stripe is very real here as well, but for a different reason. Darlington just does not have a lot of room. However, when you talk about a circuit like Homestead, you can go everywhere, but there's ample incentive to make your way through and try to push on the high side. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That, of course, remains the nature of motorsport. Less than a tenth of a second once again. This time, Nick Tarbuck is looking low, and maybe a chance for him to dive deep and take a spot once again. Look of the race lead, number 4 to the bottom, 44 up top. Michael Araya had the advantage to get here, so it's going to be interesting. Will he let this go? Looks like so far, he does not. Michael's going to battle back using the high side and using that not only advantage in momentum, but the speed. He'll carry it into turns 1 and 2 with a quarter second of an edge. That's the most he's had all throughout this entire fight. But that's not to say that Nick Tarbuck is down and out. I think in all honesty, that's just a signal he's ready to go back out there and fight once again. It's tricky right now to consider what the position is for the number 14. Will they decide to maybe be a little bit more risky? Will they decide now lie back for the rest of the stint? Mind you, we are 23 laps into this run. So give or take halfway in. Doesn't necessarily mean that the stint is done by any means, but maybe now you're deciding to back off, give it a little bit more time to see what happens next. Is it going to be time to lie back, be a little bit more conservative, or will we see Nick Tarbuck go for that aggressive approach here? He gets back about a 0.06 of a second on that lap alone. He looks to be slightly quicker at last. Clean air might not be the only advantage for the number 4. Simply put, he still might be the slightly better driver. Michael Araya has put himself in the best situation with the best equipment, and that, of course, remains the top advantage of all. Top 2 battle remains the closest on the circuit, 70 laps in out of 134. Tom Wetmore is going to be a little bit further behind here. He's still watching on. However, he has lost, give or take, a half second overall. Little else has come of it for the driver of the number 51. While he's remained within perhaps the sight range of Michael Araya and Nick Tarbuck, the only thing that he'll be seen in is the rear view mirror. And that unfortunately has been the way it's been all night long for Wetmore. From 6th up to 3rd, Tom has still not been able to break that winless streak. And if he wants to win the championship tonight, a checkered flag looks to be an absolute necessary factor. In victory, it's going to have to come down to whether or not he can break through and win a race. It looks like that's how the championship is going to be decided. If Michael Araya wins his 10th, if Nick Tarbuck wins his 5th, if Tom Wetmore wins his 1st of the season, well, and it'll be theirs, of course. The checkered flag will be, and also the championship at that. 72 laps in out of 134, 25 to 26 laps in on the stint, getting rather close to that next pit cycle. Within 20 laps, as a matter of fact. Lap number 90, expect drivers to go down for the first time. And before we get to that point, let's talk about your top 10 and give you a brief rundown of who's where. Michael Araya remains just ahead of Nick Tarbuck. This is the battle for the championship and the race lead. Winner take all. Currently, Michael in position to take the championship. Tom Wetmore is going to be in 3rd with Jacob Fife, P4. Cody Smith is going to be in 5th, further on back for Next Level Racing. Chuck Sweden is in 6th place. Ross Catos in 7th. Nicholas Ward is in 8th. And Sam Lieto holds fort in P9. Galen Gidman concludes the top 10 and currently finds himself 24 seconds back on your race leader. Overall, for Next Level Racing, Cody Smith has remained brand ambassador since the beginning of 2023, and Next Level Racing has sim racers covered. For the highest quality sim racing performance products on the market, visit nextlevelracing.com for additional information and check out what happens tonight. Of course, your champion not only getting the title, but getting a prize with that, a $2,000 sim rig, courtesy of nextlevelracing.com, awarded to these sim racers free of charge. The only catch, you've got to win the championship, and it is not easy. Tonight we'll figure out who gets that job done, but before we do, we're going to take a brief promotional break, courtesy of our friends at nextlevelracing.com. You're watching the Octane Series Championship finale, and with just a little bit of time to spare, we'll be right back after this. 58 laps to go in the championship finale. Time is running out, and right now your top two drivers remain as close as it gets. Checkered flag is coming rather near, and so far Michael Araya has gotten himself the advantage, although it doesn't look like it's anything too far ahead of someone like the number 4. Nick Tarbuck has kept him honest. The driver of that number 4 team, well, he had the race lead for the first 60 plus laps. It looks like things have ever so slightly changed. The driver of the number 4, well, while he's gotten rather close, hasn't quite been able to make his way through and get the race lead back. He was as close as within 1/10 of a second, but that shifted when he made a deep lunge about 10 laps to go. Michael Araya was able to hang tough and stick it, and as a result, well, it looks like the number 44 has been able to pull away ever since. And while it hasn't been a major gain so far, this is something that Nick Tarbuck has to be very careful in evaluating. What is he going to do if the driver, of course, of the 44 pulls away further? Keep in mind, the gap between Araya and Tarbuck beforehand was 0.8 of a second, and then Michael Araya made that risky decision to go down to pit road a little bit later, decide to go for the younger rubber, and it has paid off so far. These Gen 4s, again, a little bit different from the Xfinity Series cars in that when they need extra horsepower, they're going to dig right through the ground and tear up the tire for it, something even the Xfinity cars do not see on a regular basis. Michael Araya has been dealing with that rather well, and while it doesn't look like he was the strongest driver in stint number 1, this second stint has come his way, and it looks like there's no turning back. Caution flags out for the first time tonight. Yellow flag for Galen Gidman. And an unexpected yellow flag brings us back to square one. Take a look now. First caution of Champions Week. The number 9 goes spinning. Let's figure out why. And it looks like loose out of turn 4, just getting it around and nobody else involved. The 9 team doing a good job in keeping it straight for the most part, but a safety yellow flag regardless, and nothing else can be done about that. Galen Gidman bringing out the yellow flag. The checkered flag flies, of course, very soon. 55 laps to go, but your first caution coming, and it looks like caused in large part by the number 9. Yellow flags out. Galen Gidman involved in that incident, and so pit road is going to be mega busy as everyone comes down together 80 laps in. This could be the pit stop that decides the championship. Everyone coming toward our pit road exit camera here, right by the exit cone. Let's see who comes out first. This could be the difference between winning and losing a championship for any of our 5 contenders. So now everyone gets together once again. Number 4 of Nick Tarbuck with the pole position stall. He'll have the advantage, of course, of looking right toward the pit road exit, but it looks like he might not get there first. Side by side, Michael Araya barely gets the advantage. Just a couple of thousandths, if that, and the number 44 rolls off with perfect timing and perfect speed. Well, Michael Araya retains his edge over his competitor Nick Tarbuck. And while that's not a lot of space between them on pit road, that is going to be, and proves to be, a huge moment for the number 44 team. Just that slight advantage is going to be the difference between perhaps victory and defeat. And when we say that very early, I think that's going to be something that has to be acknowledged. Checkered flag is going to come in large part with a battle to the end based on tire and equipment. But if you can use your tires and use your equipment a little bit less and maintain and preserve it, you'll have a much better time, of course, in the final laps. 53 laps to go. We are not sure yet if these drivers can go all the way. We don't believe they can on this stint in this current condition. We get more exciting as we figure out whether or not, of course, these drivers can even go the distance the way they're running. And that's going to throw another wrench in the equation. Something we haven't even considered so far is if these drivers have to come through to pit road one last time, which would make it a 3-time pit stop race, 4 stints, and that's something we didn't see last night, which ended up being only 2 pit stops and 3 stints. How about 4 stints? That's something that's going to be on the horizon for these drivers now as a result of that most recent yellow flag. We'll head back 1 to green this time around. Galen Gidman going to be down to the inside on pit road here. Doesn't look like he's going to have himself much a night to look forward to. He's going to have to come down to pit road again, 1 lap down as it stands. Very unlikely we see a yellow flag from here on out, but said beforehand, that is not a guarantee. And Galen Gidman's going to prove us right here because all the championship contenders are going to be put together once more. Galen's going to come down and in, as does the number 18 of Cody Smith. Looks like Kyle Cooper also there, and Ross Cato, the only championship contender, deciding to get himself set up, and he will go down to pit road for a second time to get himself perhaps even more prepared for what's next to come. Double file now. Most of the field has gotten set and should be good to go this time by. Might see a slight extension with respect to, of course, this yellow flag. We only have 5 drivers bundled up. We'll see what the iRacing official pace car decides to do here, as the signal has been given so far that it's 1 lap to go. And so far, that signal has remained constant. Nothing showing any difference, and we're going to be ready to go back at it this time by. Everyone put together again. Michael Araya with the advantage on the inside, and up top going to be Nick Tarbuck once more. Let's see what he can do. Up and ahead, number 4's got the advantage on the top side, and down low, Michael Araya with a race lead. Green flag's out now, and 51 laps to go. We're going to race it again for your first restart of the night. And it's a big jump out in the head for Michael Araya. Once again, getting the advantage here. Number 4 of Nick Tarbuck is in second. Tom Wetmore is in third. Jacob Fife is in fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4. 51 laps to go. Coming down to 50 remaining. Chuck Sweeney in the number 75 heading down and in on Jacob Fife. But the leaders again, getaway single file. Take a ride on board now with Nick Tarbuck, and we'll show you exactly what's going on as the championship race now goes from endurance to a straight up sprint. Nick Tarbuck, he is there. He's remained close all night long. For a matter of fact, he was leading for 60-plus laps. 49 laps to go. Michael Araya, he finds himself race leading. 19/100ths of a second. He finds himself just ahead of Michael Araya here, and it looks like, well, Nick Tarbuck's got Tom Wetmore also to worry about. Tom Wetmore's in P3, Jacob Fife in P4, all of which now bundled up within 0.8 of a second. 48 laps to go, and this is what it all comes down to. Chuck Sweeting, keeping in mind he's in 5th. Maybe he'll play championship spoiler. Ross Cato lying back right now in 9th. Not his day so far. Meanwhile, all other championship contenders remain locked tight to one another. Michael Araya right now race leading, and he's done so over the past 25 laps. Nick Tarbuck going to be right there with them, and let's talk right now about what's going on for Nick. Both these drivers, number 4, number 44, both of which are going to be on the same level of rubber, the same age. Really little else is going to come from it, of course, when it comes to tire on the day. Now, I think track position is going to be the biggest thing. You can tell right now, and we haven't even mentioned it to this point, but it's evident. The sun has set. There's nothing else to speak of when it comes to climate change, or shall we say the sun setting, temperatures getting warmer. That's not going to happen. Right now, the ambient temperature is coming in at 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and it looks like the track temperature comes in at 84 degrees. So, with 46 to go, track conditions are becoming increasingly favorable for all those in the field, and I think right now, every driver understands that's only going to be increasingly so if any changes happen, although it's highly unlikely now that will occur. Tom Wetmore still going to be lying back here and staying in that role of waiting in the wings. Jacob Fife is getting rather close and might be a little feistier when it comes to attacking Wetmore than anything else. The battle for third still plays a pivotal position and a major role in what is due to happen in this event. And for Jacob Fife right here, you can take it through the middle groove and you can see him build up that momentum down the back straightaway. Tom Wetmore right now going at about 175 across the stripe. Jacob Fife quickly behind him up to 186 at the entry through turns 1 and 2. Their speed overall has remained remarkably similar, but the lap times are ever so slightly in the favor of Jacob Fife, 2/100ths of a second. And you have to ask, when these drivers are running single file, how do you find 2/100ths of a second on track in the heat of the moment when the championship is on the line? Well, I think it all comes down to one thing: pushing harder. Pushing significantly harder. These drivers like Jacob Fife, you can see him, he is tailing out time and again. And while we're seeing that out of the drivers who are definitely pushing, I wonder right now what's going on for Michael Araya and Nick Tarbuck, because they look rock solid. Really not seeing any trouble out of the both of them. And it looks like with 43 laps to go, they have decided to hang tough with one another, and they really aren't showing any signs of differentiation. It looks like they're comfortable with what they're doing, and it's going to take a lot of time to figure out whether or not that can change, whether or not that will change. Pit road is the final variable, the last one that we need to acknowledge, and I think right now the big issue is we don't know what's going to happen with it. 53 laps to go, drivers come down to pit road, the longest stint that we have seen, with about 49 laps to go. That's the thing. 4 laps. You cannot make 4 laps out of a green flag stint. Cautions you can save. Some drivers might have gone for that clutch and coast strategy, but it's very tricky to figure out whether or not that's going to be enough, especially since we have not seen cautions in the racing for the entire night, and moreover, we saw very few in Phoenix, the race prior, and the entire playoff picture. It's a big shift, but we don't expect drivers to go all the way unless they saved well, and the championship contenders might be the only ones of which you have the incentive to save in this stint. And maybe that's why we're seeing a little bit more of that stability from Nick Tarbuck and Michael Araya, both of which have decided right now to lay back, and as a result, maybe they're going to focus on fighting at the end rather than really busting each other's chops right now, which could cost them both a chance at the race victory, and hence the championship, which lies ahead of both of them tonight if they can first and foremost stay on the track in one piece and battle each other cleanly to wit's end. Nick Tarbuck looks low. Championship lead's going to change if he can make this spot up, and it looks like that number 4 is going to drop to the inside and keep it toe-to-toe, side by side, neck and neck. Will it be a pass? Doesn't look like it is quite just yet. Michael Araya again with the advantage out of turns 3 and 4. I think even Michael and Nick alike expected it in the same way. Going down low and diving deep doesn't really seem to be a major solution or even an advantage for a driver who wants to make up time and take position. It looks like right now it's more that signal of trying to get that clean air and looking for it throughout a lap. Jacob Fife is getting pressured right now, but not by a championship contender, but instead by Chuck Sweeting. And for Chuck Sweeting, this is only his second podium finish of the year in both series. One victory in Texas, and of course, that's all she wrote. Podiums, he has not really been able to hit them all too many times. A top 3 for Chuck would be his best finish in his Octane Series campaign and his second best finish of the year across both leagues. While more than a competent driver, Chuck Sweeting has proven to be one of the best drivers in the midfield. He hasn't been able to show that remarkable speed in situations like this all too often. Long-term green flag racing and strategy calls seem to be the gift of the 75 crew. And maybe with one last chance to go out there and shine, he's going to take it and make the most of it. 37 laps to go, time still flying by. Tom Wetmore and Jacob Fife find themselves on the bottom half of this battle, and you gotta wonder what's going through their heads here, seeing what's going on ahead of them. Will they have a chance to get back up there naturally, so to speak? Caution can come out and save any driver, but that really is never guaranteed, and you cannot rely on a yellow flag even if you want it badly. That's why for Wetmore and Jacob Fife right now, I can't imagine this is an easy position to be in. Watching what's going on just ahead, knowing the championship is within reach. 1 second is the difference. So far, it looks like Michael Araya and Nick Tarbuck alike, they have not been able to break away fully, but they certainly have the edge that Jacob Fife and company behind do not. Interesting tidbit, Jacob Fife was the fastest driver that time by, the only driver in the 33-second bracket with a 33.94 overall. The Pro Powder and Paint number 36, maybe he's got a little bit more in him, but to replicate that for 36 laps, he would only just take the race lead. So, not going to be easy here. Jacob Fife has to be even better than what we've seen as of late, but he's starting to get a little bit of an advantage pace-wise. 100 laps in, I think it's about the right time to take hold, take charge, and get that advantage and continue to build it up. 35 laps to go this time around. Michael Araya leads from Nick Tarbuck in second, and third place in Jacob Fife. Fourth is going to be Tom Wetmore, and fifth place is Chuck Sweeting. Nicholas Ward is in P6, and then you got Cody Smith in seventh. Sam Nieto is in eighth, and Kyle Cooper is in ninth, with P10 rounding out those on the lead lap. Ross Cato in the number 12. Once again, we'd like to thank Next Level Racing for their continued support throughout the year. In 34 laps time, the next level race for the championship will conclude in the Integrity OCTANE Series, and we will see a champion crown and a sim racing rig given away. Valued at $2,000 US. Next Level Racing has collaborated with the Integrity Racing League since 2023 to provide drivers with the best possible opportunity for their league racing careers. A brand new sim racing rig levels up the game for any sim racer, whether they're a casual, a semi-professional, or someone like Ethan Lane who's going out there the NASCAR Contender Series. Next Level Racing is a trusted brand. The second caution's out. You'll learn about them under yellow. Tom Wetmore spins. Minimal damage, but Wetmore goes sliding. The caution's out again. Take a look at this. And so Wetmore was battling with Chuck Sweeting at the time of impact, and it looks like the number 75 perhaps getting a little bit too close. We'll see now. Chuck diving in, and that's exactly what happened. Tom lucky to have minor back-end damage. Gonna be some, but that's unavoidable, unfortunately. The way he slid up, Tom Wetmore is going to have to come down a pit road, and as such, the number 51 going to go down and in, hopefully get some damage repaired, and get back on the way. Yellow flags out for the second time tonight with 32 laps to go, and so a little bit of time in between. We should see some drivers come down a pit road. This will end the question mark of whether or not drivers will be able to make it to the end of the race in one go around. Without having a second split under green, we'll have a caution under yellow instead. Michael Araya brings everyone down, and I'd say this much, it's rather expected given what we've just seen. Pit road is busy yet again, and for the final time tonight perhaps, but nothing's a given now with a second caution on the way and only 32 laps to go. Michael Araya drops down low. You've also got Nick Tarbuck there in leading spot, but that's only going to be temporary if he cannot seal the deal on pit exit. 4 tires and fuel, that's going to be the end goal once again. Maybe we'll see someone try to take 2 in the fuel, and we'll see Tom Wetmore definitely repair damage. Araya, Tarbuck, and Jacob Fife, same 1, 2, 3 out the gate. Tom Wetmore is going to stay out, and it looks like go out with everyone else. So in sync with the field, Tom's damage looked to be minimal, if any, and he'll continue on. It looks like tires the saving grace for that 51 crew. Since we got a little bit of time under yellow and we'd like not to interrupt the green flag racing process, we're going to give you our final Next Level Racing promotional message of the day under caution. You won't miss a thing under green here live on FTN, and we'll return before we go back racing with less than 30 laps to go. Next Level Racing provides high-quality sim racing performance products for dedicated sim racers who deserve nothing but the best. Visit nextlevelracing.com for additional information after tonight's broadcast, and we'll be right back after this. You're watching the Next Level Racing Finale 200, and we'll return after our final promotional messages of the night. One lap to green, 28 laps to go, and if it wasn't sprint already, it certainly is now. "106 laps in for Michael Araya. He finds himself the race leader as he's been for the second stint of this event, but Nick Tarbuck has kept him very honest. Tom Wetmore's damage looks to be perhaps completely negligible. He didn't stay out on pit road any longer than anyone else, and it looks like he's back in the pack once again, finding him circled onto the 3rd row on the high side. 6th place is not ideal, but certainly not a terrible position for a driver who just backed it into the wall. Kyle Cooper additionally finds himself in the top 5, the highest spot he's been in all night long, inside of row 3. Interesting to see Kyle Cooper at long last getting a chance up and ahead. Same paint scheme, just a different car for the 73 with the pit bull sponsoring, and now it looks like at long last his worldwide travels this season, comprised of more than 55 races, it'll come to a close alongside the race leaders here. Michael Araya, another great jump once again. He's got the race lead. Nick Tarbuck going to be second, and Jacob Fife third. 28 laps to go. Araya again with a major jump. Racing down the back straightaway, Sam Nieto shuffling with Ross Cato, but currently Michael Araya is going to be up and ahead. Quarter of a second over Nick Tarbuck, and Jacob Fife is just behind him. The Tube Tech Chevrolet is also within the confines just as well. Cody Smith got by Kyle Cooper and now is going to play the role of spoiler. He's got a huge load of momentum up top and might even be able to take away a podium position with the Speedies carrying on that high side. For Next Level Racing, well, they're going to give out a championship prize very soon. The question is, which of these men up in front is going to be the driver that gets it? It's an award that has not yet been guaranteed for any one of these drivers, and they know one thing: to win it, they've got to remain on their A game here. We've gone more than 100 laps and nearly more than 110 already. We are still not quite sure who's going to get it as Kyle Cooper slides low. Cooper saves it, but it's going to lose an awful lot of time as a result. Kyle falls back now into 11th place as a result of that blunder, and while a pretty good save, it looks like unfortunately nothing else he can do right now but watch as he falls further back down the pylon. And very shortly, he'll be battling with Chuck Sweeting. It looks like the 75 is right there with him. Not good for the 73 team, of course, of Kyle Cooper, but right now, no championship implications. We won't worry all too much about what just occurred. 25 laps to go when we cross across the line again. Michael Araya looking for win number 10, and looking to be only the second driver in the season to match Ethan Lane this year to have double-digit victories. It would be his 10th career victory, and he would come away not only with that Rookie of the Year award, but also with the championship in hand as well. Interestingly, Nick Tarbuck, of course, he's not a rookie in this series as well, but he faced off against some rookies in the Octane Series last night, Braxton Deweese to be one of which. And right now, for Nick Tarbuck, it is a very familiar spot. Final 25 laps or so, just behind who could be the eventual champion, and having to figure out what's going on when just inside of the reach for a championship win. Not an easy spot to be in for Nick, not an easy spot to be in for Michael. Both of these drivers right now are bringing a different perspective to the table in the same especially fierce battle. It looks like the condition changes have largely favored Michael Araya as the nights progressed. While not a major advantage, but yes, Nick has been there all night long. He was definitely the better driver. Nick was when the sun was up, and now as the sun has gone down and strategy is ever so slightly shifted, Michael Araya gaining the advantage in stint number 1. It has proved pivotal as pit road has been everything tonight. One pit stop made all the difference. 23 laps to go this time by, and we're going to call next to 22. For the last time in 2024, the Integrity Racing League as a whole is ready to crank it up live on FTN. TrackCams22.com has brought the angles from beginning to end in both Monday and Tuesday night's presentations for 60 consecutive races. The Next Level Racing, of course, team has had our back for the championship, and TrackCams22.com has had our back at FTN for all coverage of the Integrity Racing League. We'll return as we get loud and live for the final 22 laps of racing. Let's crank it up from the Homestead-Miami Speedway with 22 laps to go, courtesy of our friends at TrackCams22.com. Michael Araya and Nick Tarbuck side by side now with 16 laps to go. Number 4 heads down to the bottom side, and we've got all the angles. Left side of your screen now going to have the main racing feed. Right side, well, you're going to see there's Jacob Fife. He's got himself just behind. Meanwhile, angle of the number 4, Nick Tarbuck just made a send, just lost a quarter of a second. And that was a major gamble, but meanwhile, he'll head down low once again. Michael Araya right up top. Side by side, they were ever so slightly made contact perhaps. Well, it looks like they got away from it regardless. Now the number 14 facing some pressure from Jacob Fife. Fife is going to be looking in there for the second spot, and you can see turning that wheel, not major movement, but definitely strong movement here from the 4 crew. Meanwhile, Jacob Fife maybe going to start making some moves to try to put himself in a better spot ahead of Nick, and you can see almost a completely different perspective here from Jacob Fife, running it much calmer, at least from this angle anyway. He'll go up top, run it with that momentum, try to work it on the high side, and maybe something will work out here to get up in front of Nick. Tarbuck once again pulls away ever so slightly. That time by, he was the quickest of the 3 drivers on the podium, and Jacob Fife remains just behind him. Looking back here with Nick, he's going to be just behind championship leader Michael Araya. The winner-take-all finale means that whoever is leading at the time of the checkered flag gets the championship. Technically speaking, a non-championship contender could win this race, but it remains especially unlikely that is going to occur. Ross Cato back up to a 6th place run, so he's not terribly out of shape or out of line here. If something huge happens up in front, there is indeed a chance that maybe he gets up there and battles for the championship all the same. Jacob Fife in that number 36, he's there once more. Looking on at Jacob in the 36 team, he's about a 10th and a half back maybe on Nick. Nothing too substantial when it comes to his distance behind. Tom Wetmore is one other driver you got to look at in here. While his camera is off for the night, it looks like he is still within the confines of maybe battling for the title. The job is not done, and this is where it becomes especially tricky. Can a driver right now, like Fife, find a way? Looks like he's going to decide to. Looking low for the first time and lunging deep. Jacob Fife, talk about a big move. It's the battle for second now, and he's going to take it low. Can't quite complete the pass. Nick now running up on the high side, gets the run down the back straightaway, maintains second place. P3 is still his. Tom Wetmore's video signal has returned, mind you, so it looks like now we do have a copy on the number 51, as you can see on your screen. Unfortunately, not going to be shown there. We'll show you a little bit more from Tom momentarily. It looks like it has, however, been figured out. 11 laps to go. Tom Wetmore up to the ceiling. Jacob Fife going to find himself here in 3rd. Nick Tarbuck is in 2nd. He's going to be ringing it up top. Michael Araya is still getting away, and it looks like now coming to the single digits, that's the way they roll. A better angle of Tom Wetmore can be found here. If we take a look in our picture-in-picture on the right side of your screen, Tom Wetmore should appear momentarily. The Tube Tech number 51 has been with us since the jump, but it looks like some technical difficulties in presenting and transmitting that signal to us, unfortunately, tonight. Nevertheless, caution's out with 10 laps to go. Galen Gidman, it looks like, again, sliding down a pit road, and we've got ourselves a major change to how this race is going to go down. This could be huge. Single-digit shootout to finish off the championship. Yellow flag, Galen Gidman involved. Take a look. And he slid down a pit road. Yellow flag is called. It looks like what is, in effect, a safety caution. Nobody else is going to get involved in that one. 10 laps to go, though. And so, we're going to see drivers potentially hit pit road. That might be the call in mind. However, it looks like right now for drivers, they have not decided to do so. Michael Araya, your race leader, now makes the call. Pit road, that's the place to be as the championship comes down to this. Michael Araya, Nick Tarbuck, Jacob Fife, 1, 2, 3 in your final 10 laps. Some drivers now going to try to risk it for track position. Could see some drivers go for 2 tires and fuel, but right now most are playing it safe. Tom Wetmore with the jump. The 51 gets away, and Wetmore now finds himself up and ahead. Talking about a huge move. Wetmore advantageous new race leader with 9 laps to go, and with Tom Wetmore leading. Give us just a moment. We're going to figure out what's going on with Tom Wetmore's video signal, and we'll return after a message from iRacing.com. Looks like Wetmore now with the advantage, and it'll be less than 10 laps to go. He's looking to give us a good fight, and we'll return before we go green.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, Tom Wetmore. We got video footage of your current race leader, the number 51, and for the first time all night long, Tom Wetmore is, yes, the top driver on the board. TubeTech Chevrolet, the number 51, now ahead of Jacob Fife and Nick Tarbuck and Michael Araya. This is a really interesting situation, in large part because the driver who has been the most dominant, Michael Araya, and the second most dominant, Nick Tarbuck, are now 3rd and 4th. Or rather, 4th and 5th. Even Ross Cato, who's been, for the most part here, the outlier who's found himself further behind, is in the smack middle of this championship ordeal. 6 laps to go when we go green. Nick is on the right side of your screen. Let's take a look now. You can also see Ross Cato. We've got the angles of almost everyone now in the picture here. This is intense, and everyone knows it. Ross Cato right now, you can see lined up on the high side. Haven't seen a lot of Ross today, but now he's in prime position. Jacob Fife also finds himself on the front row. He'll be controlling the inside groove when we going again, and the 36, you can see him now on your screen. Well, this is going to be a battle for the ages. The championship race will be decided by a very short sprint. It's almost the exact opposite of what we saw last night, where, of course, Braxton DeWeese effectively was just able to roll his way to victory. Him and Thomas Bressie broke out, and they were far away all throughout the night. Really no contention between any of which. This, though, is the exact opposite. Tom Wetmore will be the control car. We're going to focus on him right now. He's the man that will lead it off and get this going. So, without further ado, Tom Wetmore, he's going to be the control car for the first time tonight. This is it. Checkered flag is just a moment away from waving. Now we'll figure out what happens from here. 1 lap to green. Well, make it 0. Green flag's out once again. Tom Wetmore advantageous. He gets the jump. 6 laps to go. Wetmore leads the championship for the first time all night long. 3 wide further back, Jacob Fife now going to find himself smack in the middle of which it's going to be a dicey battle, but Jacob has gotten away. Meanwhile, Nick Tarbuck looks low, making it 3 wide now with Ross Cato. Ross finds himself on the bottom. Nick is right there up top, but that's going to change. Now, down to the bottom of the circuit, Nick makes the move. He's now side by side with the number 36. Tom Wetmore is the next target. 5 laps to go here in Homestead. Tom Wetmore is looking to come back to victory lane, something he has not seen since 2023. He's advantageous. He's up and ahead right now, and he's in the place to be, the race lead, and time is running out. Nobody else has gotten up to him so far, but that surely can change. Jacob Fife remains now side by side with Nick Tarbuck, and to add to that, there's also Michael Araya. Jacob is wheeling it on the high side, and you can see how aggressive he's working the wheel back and forth. This is not easy, and this is what it comes down to. Nick Tarbuck is working low. Jacob Fife is right up top. Michael Araya, more of the same, but things have changed very, very quick, and all of a sudden, that number 51, Tom Wetmore, is up and ahead, and it looks like for now, there's no stopping him. 3 laps to go. We get up to the start-finish line again. It'll be some 4.5 miles before the championship is decided. Three laps left. Tom Wetmore, he's got the advantage. Jacob Fife, meanwhile, is still fighting here. He's got Nick Tarbuck just on top of him, but that's changed again. Now it looks like Nick has decided to go down low. Jacob is working that high groove here, and he's working it well. Michael Araya is coming with all the same. 4 drivers in the championship 5 are running first, second, third, and fourth. Michael Araya just went low. Tom Wetmore is going to have to look back rather soon because now Michael Araya is closing in with 2 laps remaining. It's going to be popsicle sticks. 2 laps to go in the Integrity Racing League for 2024. The championship contenders all remain around one another, and this is when things get busy. On the right side of your screen, you'll see Tom Wetmore's video feed. On the left side, take a look on board with Michael Araya, careening down with momentum. Here comes the number 44. He'll be looking low. Tom Wetmore will be passed side by side, roughing each other up the track. Wetmore's trying to stay with the 44, and they'll be door banging. 1 lap to go. White flags out for Michael Araya. He's got the race lead for the first time in this brief stint. 4 turns. That's what it comes down to. Tom Wetmore has lost the race lead, and he has been shaken, battered, and bruised. He's no longer got the advantage, and the 9-time race winner now finds himself up and in front. Michael Araya came in as a rookie in the high banks of Daytona. Little did we know he would come away with 9 wins before our championship finale. He's now the 2nd winningest driver in Octane Series history. How about win number 10 and a first career championship? Rookie of the Year, Michael Araya wins the 2024 Octane Series title with a last lap pass. Checkered flag is out. Araya gets the job done. After 200 miles, the number 44 wins in Homestead. What a battle to the finish. What a race. Michael Araya, take a bow. Araya taking it around the circuit. One final lap of celebration. What a victory for the 44 team. Chip stacked against the wall for every driver. Wetmore with an amazing jump. But the 44 team has proven it again and again. They did tonight. They know how to win when the going gets rough. And despite everything that happened in that brief sequence of events, Michael made it through, beating and banging with Wetmore, and at the line, he was clear, and he never looked back. Parking it on the start-finish line, and a fitting way to end. Michael Araya's Integrity OCTANE Series season is over, and so the championship comes to a close. Michael Araya, race winner, champion tonight over Nick Tarbuck in 2nd, Tom Wetmore in 3rd, and then Sam Nieto, the first championship spoiler of the night, who finishes in 4th. You'll have Jacob Fife in P5, and 6th place goes to Kyle Cooper, with 7th in Cody Smith, 8th in Chuck Sweeting, 9th in Ross Cato, and Galen Gidman, who comes away in the 10th position. 11th spot is then and there going to be Nicholas Ward, with 12th place being Sean Kalis, 13th in John Steele, and 14th and last. Eli cars tonight. 13 drivers took to the start-finish line, none of which retired, and a wonderful finish to end it all off. Talk about the excitement and the anticipation. All the drivers battling against each other toe-to-toe, and the best on the season came out on top. The numbers speak for themselves when we talk about Michael Araya. We'll get to that as we're going to hear from all your top 3 drivers coming up momentarily. And looks like now your champion is with us. This victory, it also serves as your 29th top 10. It serves as your 25th top 5. And to add to that, while you didn't get the pole position, you got what mattered, the race victory. Michael Araya, Rookie of the Year, champion for 2024, and a wonderful way to win it. It was close, and I'm sure it didn't feel easy, but the result is exactly what you wanted.
No, it wasn't, David. What a relief, man. Oh my gosh. This was one of the hardest races I've ever had to drive on iRacing here. And man, just Nick was on rails tonight. I was doing all I could to hold him off, and he was racing me clean, and we were both joking around there on that very last caution when we both took 4 tires. We thought we might have thrown this one away. And felt very aggravated at the time, but man, I was just hustling this car. I didn't want to give this one up. What a relief.
And it all came down to that final stint. You mentioned it, strategy shifting back and forth all over the place. You and Nick, first and foremost, were the dominant drivers today. Put yourself first and second for the majority of the night, and your car looked especially better as the sun set. Conditions may be changing, helping you out, and the overcut, staying out longer, getting you that race lead, that's when really things came to life. Can we first and foremost walk through the strategy in the race?
Certainly. So leading up to this event, I definitely put in a fair amount of practice and really paid close attention to session time for this event. And I noticed that we were going to be starting later in the day with the race. So I put most of my efforts into practice when the sun was down, and I think that really paid off. But I knew with how this Gen 4 car is, lack of grip at Homestead, and how tires can wear out, just being able to stretch your fuel run a little bit extra compared to the rest of the field pays dividends, even if it's 1 lap. And so that was my mindset. I knew just executing on that first pit stop and stretch and fuel was really going to be important to, have things play in your favor for the rest of the night. So that's what I did. It certainly helped me get the lead there, but Nick had such raw speed tonight that even with that extra lap on his tires, he was all over me, and I couldn't make any mistakes. So I think his only Achilles heel tonight, honestly, was he was so good running the bottom that his weakness was trying to adapt to the top. And that's something that I feel like I'm really good at, just being able to switch lines at will. And so I know when he was able to get a run on me a few times, I could jump up to that top line and get that good momentum off the corners and kind of build up that gap again. But if you were committed to the top all night, you were just going to roast your tires. So it was a complete balancing act there. But he ran a hell of a race. He raced me extremely clean. I couldn't ask for racing against, better guys, honestly. It was extremely respectful.
And you talk, of course, about switching lanes at will. We're replaying right now the incredible sequence of events in that final restart and that final stint. What was less than 10 laps? I mean, you, Nick, you mentioned it, both starting in the back of the championship battle right there and having to work your way up throughout everyone. And you and Tom Wetmore at odds with just under a lap to go there, side by side, almost entirely at the stripe, and then pulling away with only a mile and a half to go. I'm sure nerves were as high as it got.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, with maybe about 3-4 laps left in this race, I thought it was all over. But I wasn't giving up. I was going to just keep digging on the top. And then I'll have to look back at the replay, but something happened to Tom there the last 2 laps or so. He got really out of shape in 3 and 4, and that helped me close up the gap quite a bit. And once I saw that happen, I knew I had a shot. And so at that point, I knew I had the tire advantage, but it was just what lane to choose. Tom is one of the best guys as far as just watching the mirror, taking away somebody's lines, but doing it in a clean and respectful way. But I just had to really size him up and make a good judgment. And honestly, I was just kind of in the zone there. Kind of really forgot what happened. I was just focused and digging, and man, I'm glad it worked out. I packed that thing deep into turn three though to try to clear them, and the rest of the race, I knew I just had to run this thing as hard as I could to get away from everybody else because I knew if they were close enough, they were going to try to just pack it in and see if it would stick. So didn't want to, give them that chance.
And it looks like you're able to just pull it away and get away from giving anyone a chance. 10th win on the season and a remarkably consistent endeavor in your first Integrity Racing League season here with the Octane and Ignite Series format. So up next, 2025, perhaps you'll return to defend the title?
Oh, I'd love to. I, of course, hope they run the Gen 4 again next year. This car is just so much fun to drive. Really, any league that runs this car, this car just makes up for it. And so I really hope that IRL sticks with it. I like the group of guys in this league. But it's just so much fun racing these guys. Even if they don't run this car, if they run maybe B car and they commit to that, that's something I would entertain too. But if Gen 4 is coming back, I feel like I'll be back.
And we'd love to see, of course, maybe a chance to defend the crown that's just been awarded. Michael Araya, race victory and a championship to go with it. If you have any last thoughts to wrap up the season and the year, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, of course. This one will be a little bit longer, but of course, David, for putting on the broadcast each week. I know it takes a lot of effort just, getting these up and running. And I really can't believe you're a one-man commentator. Give you a lot of credit for just being able to talk through these races. And, they're not short races by any means. So a lot of props to you. A lot of credit to the IRL admins for running this league. Notably Jacob Fife. I mean, he does a really good job at setting the tone in the league as far as, having a respectful atmosphere. I can really appreciate that. And, just all the drivers that were coming out and racing consistently. I mean, without people showing up consistently, this doesn't happen. But as far as some more specific shout outs, going to give a shout out to my teammate Sam Nieto for just sharing notes throughout these races. Want to give a shout out to Nick Tarbuch, just racing me extremely clean all year and, being one of the top guys in this league. Going to give a shout out to Ethan Lane. Unfortunately, he had some scheduling conflicts. I know he's run the Contender Series, but I feel like that guy, he kind of sets the benchmark in this league as far as raw speed. So it was a blast racing against him and just kind of really learning from him with his raw pace. And then, of course, I got to give a shout out to my sponsors, Sim Speed Shop, for being on board the car for a few years now. They've been a pretty loyal partner. But yeah, just what a fun season.
What a way to enter, and of course, what a way to finish off the 2024 campaign. Michael Araya, checkered flag, and a championship. Thank you again for your time.
All right, thank you.
And with Araya on the move, very familiar position for the man who ends up finishing just behind him. Number 4 team, it's Nick Tarbuck coming home for a second place finish once again. And a very familiar spot to be in indeed. Ignite Series second in points, Octane Series second in points, and remarkably close and almost identical results really when we think about it. P2, both Homestead races, and the championships at that. Nevertheless, 2 great seasons and able to wrap this one off oh so close once more, Nick. How's it feel? Another solid podium.
Yeah, man, this one feels not as good as the other podiums. I gotta be honest with you. I would have liked the first rung on the podium this time. First off, just want to say congrats to the Raya. He dominated the season. I think I said all along that it was him and Ethan, and then I just kind of was there to pick up whenever they decided not to win. So I'm glad that he won. I mean, the most deserving driver that showed up tonight won the race. Not even close. But I do think that I had, given my limited practice, I meant to get in and practice some, and I just didn't get a chance to. So I had to learn how the track kind of played out during the race again, as always. So it was tough, and I as soon as I realized I had the speed to hang with him, I really was like, I can win this thing. And then that last pit stop, things got kind of crazy trying to get through the field with Lariah, and I just I couldn't pull it off. So it definitely kind of stings to get second this time, but I guess just kind of that's been how it's been all season, I guess. So I guess it's better than finishing last, huh?
And it was unbelievably close between every one of the championship contenders in the tail end of it. But it looked like when it came to the raw pace and having good speed to start, you were right up there from the jump. Grabbing the pole position, leading the first 60-some laps. It first looked to be a toss and turn between you and Michael. Then it looks like with about 50-some laps to go, things began to change.
Yeah, I think the getting the clean air at the start and being able to choose what line you defend was the key to this race. I mean, he was able to, the first run I was able to kind of get by him a little bit, and I think he was just being timid with the tires and trying not to burn them up, and I think that I just was a little more aggressive, and it didn't seem to hurt me too much. But I know he mentioned during his interview that he practiced a lot in the nighttime, and obviously he was able to stay out an extra lap, and that extra lap of tire that he had over me when we got done with the first pit cycle. I mean, it allowed him to just kind of blow by me, which was, good on him. But at that point, it was just me trying to hang on and see if I could make him make a mistake or, burn his rear tires up or something. But it's obvious from the season that Lariah is not one to make a mistake like that or to get pressured into mistakes like that. So yeah, I had the speed, I had the consistency. I think if I'd practiced more, it might be a different result. If this is what I can do with 30 minutes of practice, maybe a couple days beforehand, I should try that. But it's probably never going to happen. But yeah, it was close there at the start. But as soon as he got by me, I'm like, all right, I got to at least hang on to give it a shot.
And oh, so close to getting it there. Nevertheless, when we talk about this season, you, Michael Lariah, Ethan Lane combining for what overall was a total of 27 wins. So not a lot of room left on the table for most other people. And compared to the entire field, only 2 other people got more wins than you throughout the entire campaign. 2025 up next on the horizon. Maybe a chance to back up the strengths of this year.
Yeah, I think so for sure. I think that as long as I like the Gen 4 car, and it's supposed to change, I think, to become like an actual Gen 4 car by the time next year rolls around. So I'd like to use this car again, but I think that no matter what the car is, I can come out and show some strength and show some speed. But yeah, I think that this year was good. I think that it's a testament to see that the top 3 guys that dominated the season were able to finish 1-2, and unfortunately Ethan couldn't show up because of other obligations. But I mean, it's just that's just the storybook of the season right there in one race. So I think next year, I'm definitely coming back. I love this league. I love the people in it, and I love hanging out and enjoying racing with these guys. So I'm coming back as long as this place is around. So I'll be here again, and hopefully I can maybe put some more practice and maybe win a few more of these races.
And looking to win at least maybe a few more. 4, nevertheless, a huge amount compared to all those in the majority of the pack. Nick Tarbuck, P2 on the day here, and second place in both the Ignite Octane Series championships. Consistency was key. Any last messages or shout-outs you'd like to give? The floor is yours.
Sure, man. Yes, I want to thank you for broadcasting this season, both Mondays and Tuesdays. You put on a great show, and it's put the league in a really, really positive light. So I hope you come back next season. Hope you'll have us, and look forward to working with you some more. If so, I'd like to thank everybody who tuned in every race and people who tuned in throughout the season. So my mom, my dad, my wife, all the friends who tuned in to watch me run. I guess win a few and come third or second the other times. I want to thank the admins for putting on a great season. There's been a lot of, moments of contention and other, things going on, but you guys have kept level heads throughout it all, and it's been a great season as always. And yeah, I just also want to thank all the competitors out there for racing cleanly and fairly, and congrats to Lariah again, man. Well deserved. One of the nicest guys out there. Very well deserved, and hopefully we can battle that out again next season.
And hoping to see what's due to come. Nick Tarbuck, second place here from the Homestead-Miami Speedway, keeping up with those consistent results, and another very strong finish here in Miami. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
And with Nick on the way, one final driver we'd like to speak through coming away third place here, Tom Wetmore. Oh, so close to the checkered flag tonight, and I'll tell you this much, that restart all gave us second thoughts as to what was going to happen. P3 in a very close call there, fight until the checkered flag for everyone in the championship race. And Tom, you gave us a good show up there until about 2 laps to go. Things changed when it came to the championship position. Nevertheless, P3 to end the season here in Homestead.
Yeah, hey, proud to be here on the podium. I mean, to be able to run with some of these guys in the Integrity Racing League, having run here now for a couple years, one thing that the committee puts together here is the cleanest racing in iRacing, period. And it's not just that, but to be able to have the standard of competition that we put forth here. I mean, you saw it tonight as we come down into what should be a mess with cars with multiple different tire strategies, multiple different other types of strategies, different motivations, right? Guys fighting for a championship, guys fighting for their first win of the season, all packed under a blanket with this last opportunity. And instead, we come to green with just a few laps to go and finish this thing under green. It's a testament to the recruiting efforts of our staff here at Integrity Racing League, our admin team that helps maintain that throughout the season. And that's not always easy for those of you who watch other sim racing broadcasts when there's this kind of money on the line, thanks to the folks over at Next Level Racing who put a heck of a prize package together for us this season for our drivers. It's easy to make the wrong decision when you're fighting for those kind of dollars, and to come out clean just shows a testament to the integrity of our drivers, man. It's a lot of fun.
And you talk about, of course, what was on the line tonight. Championship drivers getting away with speed, first and foremost. You find yourself a little bit further down the ladder, starting in 6th, but made some quick improvements to jump up to as high as 3rd in the first 50 laps there. Sunset, conditions changed, qualifying, maybe not suiting your strong suits. How was it adapting as the night went on? You got some practice in the Ignite series, and I'm sure it wasn't identical to what we saw Monday night.
Yeah, certainly. The strategy and the cars drive completely different. You're driving a Gen 4 Cup car versus these B cars. The horsepower, the tire, everything is completely different. But you learn kind of the characteristics of the racetrack. What happens when you cross those seams with 900 horsepower? Well, that's kind of the same thing, right? So we certainly got some practice in. I heard Lariah talk about some of the practice he put in this week. Certainly, we're all trying to put forth that effort because I've made the joke a couple times as we've had a chance to talk with you. Most of these guys have rigs. I saw in Tarabuck's interview, he has one of the beautiful GT Elite rigs from Next Level Racing. That's what I was aspiring to get tonight with a victory, but unfortunately, we have our Moses still propped up on a 2x4. So sounds like we might have to make our own investment this season, and instead of taking the trophy that we thought would have been ours tonight. So.
Well, nevertheless, another great effort here for the 51 team. I think there's one thing that separates this year from last, and unfortunately, it's not necessarily a positive victory. I'm sure you're looking for it. You've seen podiums time and again, especially as of late, and you've come on strong in the playoffs to put yourself in this position. But now, the clock keeps ticking. 2025 is up next. How do you feel about your chances to even further improve upon what we saw this year?
Yeah, I mean, certainly looking forward to the town hall with all of our league members that we're talking about having here in the off season to discuss different changes we want to make. And but I could say one of the challenges that came out of our town hall last year is we ended up switching to this Gen 4 car, and everyone else has found a way to drive this car really, really well. And I'm still trying to find my way to the top step of the podium to come off of, I think it was 7 wins last year to our only win this year being the All-Star race. I gotta admit, it's heartbreaking, man. I feel like I feel like Temu Kyle Busch over here, you know?
Well, of course, there's a lot to come, and next year, maybe a chance to put yourself back on the winning ways and beyond. Nevertheless, 3rd place in points, that's a strong category, of course, to look at for what's due to come. And of course, when we're back in the high banks in Daytona, there'll be a lot more to say. But until then, Tom, any final messages or comments you'd like to give out?
Yeah, I mean, just want to give a thanks again to the drivers and the competitors in the Integrity Racing League. I mean, it was especially they're coming down to the final laps on 2 tires. Thought we had that 1-1, but I mean, even though I maybe disagree a little bit with how Lariah used us up about 5 lanes there, at the end of the day, we're racing for a championship, and he's the man on 4 tires with Nick Tarabuck right behind him. So certainly wish I would have got a little some sort of condolences out of him there in his interview. Certainly was looking for that after how we've raced each other all season long. But regardless, again, goes to show that we can race that close and not wreck each other. But as far as other folks, I mean, I just have to give a great shout out to every competitor out here, and not just that, some partners on the car. Got to thank TubeTech. They've been a huge supporter for us for the last couple years. International vendor supporting tube and plate lasers, as well as any tube fabrication needs for any of you engineers out in the chat. The boys over at Vex Visions, they put together a heck of a paint scheme. We've had a great looking car all season, and it's donned in pink tonight. Again, to dedicate this one to my mom. Fortunately, got cleared of breast cancer officially this month, just last week. So certainly cause for celebration, but the car's still pink because not everybody gets that lucky. And finally, I got to thank the boys at Robin Steele Attorneys at Law, always protecting this car against some on-track and off-track incidents, and the boys at No Mind putting the hell of a horsepower underneath this hood, man. With all those folks and the drivers we compete against every week, it makes this one of the most fun racing leagues on the service. And David, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank you, man. You've been a great partner to us over here at Integrity Racing League. We're super excited to have you, and looking forward to talking about what next year looks like with you.
Well, first and foremost, wonderful news for you and your family. And again, Tom, thank you for stopping by, putting through a full year's effort, and coming away here 3rd place at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks, David.
And we went more on the move. Well, one thing that we've done, and we did it last year, so we'll bring it back again. Jacob Fife's video signal has unfortunately been cut. But we're going to talk once again to your league owner of the Integrity Racing League to wrap up tonight's campaign and talk all about what perhaps could be up next on the horizon. Maybe get a little bit of insight from the man who's up on top of the board each and every week, Jacob Fife in the number 36, who came away tonight 4th in the championship standings, but of course has been with us since the beginning. We'd like to hear from him once again. League owner and championship contender Jacob Fife, first and foremost, coming away with a solid top 5 finish to end things, and overall, we've wrapped up another year of racing here in the Integrity Racing League, and what an exciting way to finish the action.
Yeah, it's been a pretty awesome year this year, Dave. Thank you for bringing me down here. Wish we could have came out with a win tonight. That would have been awesome as well. But yeah, it was very exciting racing. Would have been either way, I think, with or without the cautions. Michael and Nick there were doing a great job. But been a great year. Been able to do some great things with Next Level, and the guys on the track have produced for both series, and we're really excited about how this year ended, and then looking forward to 2025 for sure.
And we're looking forward, of course, to what's next. I'd like to talk about a little bit more about the Octane series in general. Gen 4 made the switch, and high-speed racing with a car that doesn't often get a lot of love, and we saw wonderful racing. I think a lot of drivers may be excited to see remaining as something unique. How have you felt about taking the switch to the Gen 4s and seeing how it played out?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a risk. I think from switching cars, you have to go through the process of re-recruiting to a certain extent. You have your core group of guys who are committed to Tuesday nights, which is awesome, and I certainly appreciate them. But it's a definite risk that we took from going from next gen, which we had done for a few years, and I think it's for the most part it's paid off pretty well. You're always going to have guys who maybe it's not going to fit as well their driving style, and certainly it's an adjustment from a racing standpoint. But I think it's gone well. I think we've seen either the same amount of draw from a race to race basis, if not a slight improvement for most of the year. Obviously, the end of the year, last couple races, we would like to see more. But I think all in all, I felt it produced some really good racing side by side, and just something different, right? So it's certainly worth the risk. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to carry some momentum into next year, and being able to build on what we were able to accomplish this year.
Continue to build upon what we've seen. Second year of the brand new format, Ignite and Octane Series, and another wonderful pairing. Monday and Tuesday nights, clean racing, exciting racing from start to finish. And I'll tell you this much, when it comes to the consistency in that quality. I think we don't really see that anywhere else on the sim racing market at all. We've got wonderful partners behind us. So, with that being said, to finish off the year, Jacob, I'd like to hear some final thoughts and maybe a little bit more insight into what's next to come.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've been very fortunate this year with not only from our admins who helped me run the series, both series, to pull off a really high quality league as a whole. We wouldn't be here without our partners. Next Level Racing being able to provide us with the sim rigs that we give to our champions, which is a really awesome deal that I don't think a lot of leagues are able to offer. So we're certainly appreciative of that. Pro Powder and Paint being on board for year after year. Obviously, I run both of those paint schemes in Ignite and Octane, and providing funding to help give us different prizes and opportunities. And then I say this every time I'm able to get on here, which is few and far between sometimes with my racing, but it really comes down to the members. I think the members are what make things go, and we try to do everything we can to provide the best atmosphere and community for them to be able to come and race week in and week out and have clean racing and have great broadcasts that you guys provide, so that we can have a solid established league that, after this year we'll be going into year 14, which is really surprise, kind of shocking if you told me that 14 years ago. I'm not sure if I believe you, but no, definitely looking into 2025. Kind of like I mentioned before, we're definitely planning to build on that. The Ignite series is really super solid with the drivers that are over there that are running and the type of racing that it has. I feel like the Xfinity series or those cars have kind of come into their own. And so we definitely have some opportunities where we can bring more people into that. And we're looking forward to kind of going through that recruiting process and really making that a solid and substantial series. And then with the Gen 4 cars or Tuesday nights, I think, um, we like I said, we want to continue to build the momentum. We were already working on things for 2025 to kind of help take the next step, hopefully, and be able to offer some different things with some different partnerships that could come about, that we're working on, and we're really excited about that. So hopefully, obviously, I know you and I have talked a little bit. Love to have you guys back. Y'all do an awesome job. We appreciate everything your team does to bring our Integrity Racing League to broadcast format in such a quality way. So it really takes everything to kind of put the league together, and each one of those things we're luckily enough to we're able to build upon, get better each year, and that's not going to be any different as we head into 2025.
And we are excited, of course, to see what's up next. Long-standing and the highest quality on the market here. Jacob Fife, league owner here for the Integrity Racing League and coming away fifth from Homestead-Miami. Thank you again for your time and your continued dedication to bringing all the action to us.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it, man. Had a great season.
Jacob Fife on the move, gotten a word from our top three drivers and league owner Jacob Fife. A little year in review to end what has been not only a fantastic Octane Series season, but an amazing year for the Integrity Racing League. And I said it last night, and I'll say it again, the question was whether or not we could outdo ourselves from 2023. I think we achieved that, and then some. Michael Araya is your 2024 Octane Series champion, and so we say goodnight from the Homestead-Miami Speedway to end the 2024 year for the Integrity Racing League. 30 wonderful weeks of racing, Mondays and Tuesday nights, and so we'll have to wait until February once again to go live on FTN, at least consistently, on these early weekdays. An unfortunate loss, but one that comes, of course, with excitement for what's yet to come. 2025. It's going to be coming sooner than you expect, and we are now going on to our third season with the Integrity Racing League. Plans are yet to be finalized, but expect even better than what we've seen so far. Level of competition continues to increase, and the action remains as tense as it gets. With good reason. Championship competitors, drivers looking for victories, the parity, the excitement to see who gets into victory lane next, and to see if the dominant driver comes through at the end of day. From the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway, you've been watching coverage of the Integrity OCTANE Series in its 30th and final event of 2024, the Next Level Racing Finale 200, once again brought to you by our premier partners at Next Level Racing. I've been David Troitz, commentating and producing, and if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream, the channel, and of course subscribe. Check out the QR code currently on your screen so you can join the FTN Broadcasting Discord community and find out what's going on all throughout the week for FTN as we keep you covered with more sim racing action on Thursday nights with the Iora Cup Series, on Saturday nights with the Saturday Night Thunder Grand National Series, and on Sunday nights with the Schumacher Racing League. Thank you all for tuning in to another wonderful season. Congratulations to Michael Araya for winning the Octane Series Championship, Braxton DeWeese for winning the Ignite Series Championship from the Integrity Racing League, and FTN Broadcasting. I've been David Troitz, commentating in the action, and we hope to see you in 2025. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you have a wonderful night, and we can't wait to return in February.